Welcome back to Absolutely. My name is Benny. That is Dylan. And today we're going to be talking about She-Hulk Episode 7. Dylan, say it with me. It's Episode 7. This man cannot count the episodes to save his life.
I got it wrong once.
Right, but that's how we have running jokes. Anyway.
This is not a joke I'm okay with. I know numbers. 4 comes after 6. I know how it works.
So today we're going to be talking about 7, and I don't think this episode is going to be that long. Actually, we have a whole video about the topic, so we're not even going to bring up the fact that Deadpool didn't show up.
Deadpool's
Dylan.
not here. What the hell, man?
That Daredevil didn't show up. So let's talk about the episode itself instead of bringing up that everyone's ranting about. The Daredevil's still not in it. This episode, I actually kind of enjoyed. It was another one of those separate episodes like The Wedding. But The Wedding I found almost unbearable because the writing wasn't that strong for that episode. I feel like it was one of the worst standalone sitcom episodes, and it was very cliche. This one kept kind of like I would try to guess what's going to happen, and it didn't go the direction I was expecting. I actually enjoyed this episode. I actually thought the writing for this particular one was one step above. The new side characters, while being one note, all were very into that one thing that defined them. There was the guy that was obviously codependent. There was the guy that insisted he wasn't a matador. There was the guy that wouldn't take off his suit. There was the guy who enjoyed blood who's probably a vampire.
They weren't
like they all had one note. They were all just one note characters, right. But and then you had the other guy who was just afraid. That was his one note. I'm afraid of the abomination.
It's interesting that like because they were all one note, but they weren't the same note. Which is like, That's the problem I've had with the side characters thus far, is that they've all been the same kind of like skeevy, like whether it's a guy or a girl, like just kind of skeevy, like socially unaware person that makes She-Hulk upset.
Yes.
But now like all of these are written just, like funny little actual sitcom characters that get their jabs in and then move on. Also, I don't know if you caught this. This was written by Zeb Wells. Which is probably
was it?
Why it was good.
Yeah.
Zeb Wells is a comic writer. I think he's writing Spider-Man right now.
So the core of the episode, though, was She-Hulk finally coming to terms with being She-Hulk. Now, as much as I enjoyed this episode, I do have a problem with the way they handled this. I don't know if this reveal was as earned as they thought it was with the way they were handling it in the episode. Because the whole idea of this episode is that why can't people want Jen around? They all want She-Hulk around. Okay, that's all they want. She wants to be... But up until now, she's been constantly battling against being She-Hulk, which could be portrayed in that way. She wants you to want Jen around. But we haven't, at least from what I've seen in the last 6 episodes, she hasn't really been that distraught about them. She seems more annoyed and angry when they want She-Hulk than being like, oh man, all right, fine, I'll be She-Hulk. It's more like, oh, fine, I'll be She-Hulk.
I think
that's just the way that I saw it.
Yeah, I think it's more of a symptom of the show just not dedicating a lot of time to it, because there was like this episode to me was sort of the conclusion of the in a couple ways actually, now that I think about it, of her interaction with the Wrecking Crew the first time. Because at the end of that,
which ended with her seeing herself in the mirror, and she's the monster and doesn't want to be She-Hulk.
Yeah, so she's like worried about it, and it's like, oh, okay, so they're gonna delve into her psyche and like how she feels about being She-Hulk a little bit. And they play with that over the course of the next few episodes, and this is sort of the culmination of it, where she's like, she learns to accept herself. And I think that's where this show sort of it's good when it's like just delivering on sort of the things that it sets up that aren't plot related. Like all of the handling of Jen's arc itself, I think is pretty well done. Everything else surrounding that, like aside from like the comedy, which is, it's super subjective, but like everything else around that is kind of not great. I don't think they are giving it enough time. But yeah, I think, this was a fun episode to me, where like not a lot happened, but who cares? It's a sitcom.
Well, it was just her having to sit down and going over.
Just character development.
Actual complaints that I had about this one. Well, not really a complaint. First one I loved Emil Blonsky's transformation. But can we agree that he's totally just running these guys for their money? Like when he was like, oh, that's our silver platinum membership. I'm like, oh my God, he made a scam.
Yeah, of course. I love that he's still a dick, but he's a dick that doesn't want to be on the run for the rest of his life. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I won't be Abomination. I didn't really want to be that anyway. So
he's got like counseling sessions and he's helping people deal with disconnecting from the internet and his yurt. And I'm just like, this is funny. This is funny. And it makes kind of sense that like his whole argument at the beginning of, I didn't want to be the Abomination. That's not me. Look at my 7 wives, which we didn't see one of, by the way. There wasn't even one wife.
No, I was thinking that too. Like, where are they?
Yeah.
They gave him his money and then he killed them all or something.
I guess so. Yeah. Cause he definitely he had to get the funding for that whole place. My biggest complaint, it's more, I don't know if it's a nitpick complaint, how you want to look at it, is actually the reveal that the guy that she wanted to date ignored her because she wasn't Jen or didn't want to be with Jen. Turns out that he was actually like a villain. I thought that kind of undercut her accepting, like, I don't need him. Well, we're going to run into him again anyway, probably. He's a villain, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
which doesn't mean that he rejected her. He's just a villain.
I think she needed to go through that either way, and it would have happened regardless, because she was already having those issues with the guy who only liked her for She-Hulk and ran away when he saw Jen. And this was just sort of the culmination of that. And I do think like the whole blood like plot line that they're doing in the background is a little weird. But I think I'm glad that this is kind of where it went, because last episode I really hated that guy. The Josh guy, he just was coming on too strong, and it felt weird that Jen was like accepting that. I know she was drunk for most of that encounter.
That felt to me as just standard sitcom where we don't have time to flesh anything out. So the rom-com characters have to immediately link up. And go
it was weird to me because of their insistence on like so far on guys just being gross and her not liking like come-ons and stuff like that. And then this guy shows up, and just because the plot needs her to like him, she does. It didn't seem like they connected in any way other than she likes him or he likes her for just being Jen, which is, I guess, what she needed, which is why it worked.
Which is what she needed, yeah. Because then she gets rejected because she's Jen, which is like the whole thing. I mean, there's not much to say about this episode. It didn't even have any really good jokes that make me just laugh about it. The porcupine thing's the only one I kind of found funny, where he's like, finally, I'll take off the mask. And they're all like, oh, put it on. Put it on.
I'm impressed by the seal that mask had around his face, if they couldn't smell him at all until, which I guess that makes sense because it was a whole thing. But I don't know. I think the something I wanted to mention, that the cinematography and just like the first act, I thought was fun. I love seeing robot cameras and long shots like that. I don't know if they used a robot camera, but it would make sense for them to have used it there. But this show is pretty ugly, I will say, most of the time. It's very flat and not very interesting to look at. So I'll take what I can get.
Yeah. The CG actually looked a little bit better in this particular one. I will say that, only because they used less of it. Yeah. So we didn't have any scenes where she's trying to walk around a She-Hulk and people are trying to hug her or anything like that. No, we had her Hulk out, I think 2 or 3 times, sit in a chair, very stationary. So I feel like at this point in the production, they were starting to actually get the model down, or like what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. Like in the wedding scene, most of the She-Hulk stuff, just the CG was blatantly bad. But in this one, it actually didn't feel. Maybe it's just growing on me. Maybe at episode 7,
I think it's just growing on you. It looked the same to me. The only thing I noticed about She-Hulk's appearance in this episode,
I saw your face not changing, and that's why I was like, maybe it's just growing on me.
It's fine, everyone's got their opinions. I did you notice like her suits? Like this is post her getting all of those cool suits from Luke. They look the same.
Oh yeah, she's still wearing the. That's what I said. We're not seeing the new suits. We're not seeing the superhero suit. Nothing.
I think we are. I think those are the new suits, because like the clothes that she's wearing are the ones that fit her. But
you brought up something I thought about earlier, and I forgot until you mentioned that. I'm wondering if these are airing out of order. Like they're kind of in order, but not in the right order. Because you got to think the suits episode was not the wedding episode.
No, it was, because the dress that she wore was made by Luke.
Was it made by Luke?
Yeah, each one has come after another. I see what you mean, though, that they are kind of. I think that's just sitcominess. Well, because they're so
standalone, they don't have to necessarily be directly after each other. They could have easily played them out of order. Just like supposedly the first episode was like the 9th episode.
Yeah, I think there was just some weirdness in like in the writing stage before they attached the through line to it of when they wanted to show each episode, which is why like Titania showed up so early and we didn't see her for like 4 more episodes after the first one.
And that's what I'm saying, because apparently that episode, good chunk of that episode wasn't supposed to be in the first episode.
Yeah,
it was like the last episode. So
they wanted to get that out of the way though, which is good. I think they should have gotten the origin out of the way right away.
But all right, I mean, it's a short episode, but there's not much to say about She-Hulk without discussing the backlash. We enjoyed it. I thought it was a good episode, probably one of my top episodes in the series. It's funny because it's not a fighting episode. It was just a sit down. No. Let's go over things episode. Yeah.
I think it's I like the episodes of this where there is an A and B plot. I think there was less of that in this episode, so it
I don't remember there being a B plot.
There's not.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I like the ones that have that, and this one I didn't like as much because of that.
Okay.
But just because I think the strongest part of this show is She-Hulk. But I would, because it's a sitcom, I would like to see more of the side characters interact and stuff.
I just want to see Pug go into his drip dealer.
Yeah, absolutely. His drip.
I want to see him go to the drip dealer to buy something, and then find out he's like a super She-Hulk fan. Like, oh yeah, I'll get that merchandise before anyone else does.
Yeah. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, my opinion on this show is still like, you're probably not going to like it if you don't like great sitcoms.
If you don't like B-tier sitcoms, if you don't want superheroes in your sitcom, you're still not going to like the show. Nothing's changed. It hasn't magically become
I don't think this show is great, but I think it's fun to put on.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I forgot all about it till this morning when Sal said he hadn't watched it, which reminded me I've got to watch it. And I popped it on in the background, and I was playing Pokemon while I was watching it. And I enjoyed it, and I paid attention. Yeah. It's everyone knows notoriously because of my ADD, I will do something while watching something normally. So I do miss some heavy beats once in a while. We've had some jokes about that where it's like, Benny, how did you miss? I don't know. I looked away for 2 seconds. It's easy for me. This is one of those shows that I can put on, and I don't think I've missed a single important beat since the beginning. And I've always done something while watching She-Hulk. This has not grabbed my attention to the point where
you did argue that nobody was making fun of her outfits.
But I agreed with Nikki. I just didn't count Nikki because I just treat that as like you and me making fun of each other's hats. You know what I mean? Like that's... Sure. That like I didn't take it as commenting in a way of negativity. I took it as a way of like, haha, your suit sucks. You know what I mean? Like,
I would say that's the same. But
no, and I agreed. You were right about that. Yeah, no, you were right about that. But that's just why I just overlooked it as a jab at the suits. So, all right, but that's pretty much it, guys. What do you think about She-Hulk? We're coming to the end of it now. Honestly, at this point, I don't even care if we see Daredevil. Not in a way of like, oh man, Daredevil would make it better. But I'm just tired of every week being like, here's the Daredevil episode.
Right. I'm not going into that with that, but at this point, I'm like, there's 2 episodes left. They better both be Daredevil so I can get some Daredevil. Like,
dude,
now I'm annoyed.
Yeah, I sat down and I popped it on. I'm like, okay, well, this is definitely going to be the Daredevil episode. I have to watch this one in time. Nope. And then the guy calls her up to come be a bodyguard, and I'm like, perfect place for Daredevil to pop up. What if he's the counter lawyer or something like that? Nope, no Daredevil.
We'll see.
Why did you tease it, Marvel?
Yeah, they really shouldn't have.
No, or it should have been like next time. And then imagine if right now, at this point of She-Hulk, we had no idea Daredevil was going to show up at all.
Yeah.
Not even that cameo. Imagine if right now they dropped the season finale trailer and you saw Daredevil.
Yeah. Or like we don't see him in a trailer at all, and we see him in No Way Home, and then the next time we see him is his helmet in the Luke episode, and that's it. And then we're like, oh,
and then he just shows up, and the internet would blow up, and they'd all go watch She-Hulk to see what they missed. I don't know why they chose to promote that so early, but all right,
they
whatever.
Thought no one was going to watch She-Hulk.
I guess, but like, all you've done is bring in the people who hate on She-Hulk to watch it. That's all you've done. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's review. Let us know your opinions of episode 7 and the direction they're going in this. And are you tired of all this Daredevil hype? Just get it over with. I want it there. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm Benny. That is Dylan. And we will be back next week with episode 8. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, G Fuel. Use the code comics at checkout. Go to Into the AM. And if you want to make sure this channel never dies and we keep doing these discussions, consider joining our YouTube memberships, supporting this channel directly. Thank you. I'll see you next time.